It all started with an old wooden crate and a handful of forgotten seeds. 5 years ago, I stood in my tiny, overgrown backyard, feeling overwhelmed, until I looked at that worn crate and saw not trash, but potential. Little did I know, that single moment would spark a journey to transform a neglected corner into a whisper-quiet, sun-dappled rustic oasis, all made from things others had thrown away. Greetings from Freshums. We're here to bring your dream home and garden to life with fun and practical tips. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends who love design as much as you do. There's something comforting about pallets, those humble, rough-hewn boards that have traveled from place to place and earned a second life. Picture a narrow courtyard where vertical pallets become layered planters, their slats filled with herbs, trailing foxglove, and patches of thyme. The wood's weathered gray plays beautifully against rusted metal accents and terracotta, creating a palette that feels both intentional and effortlessly collected. In this vignette, a worn pallet leans against a fence, strings of warm bulbs drape above, and the air hums with bees visiting tiny blooms. The story here is one of rescue and reinvention. Materials that once moved boxes now cradle life, proving that rustic charm can be both practical and poetic. Love fresh home and garden design? Scan the QR code and join the Freshums WhatsApp channel for quick styling tips and early access to new videos. Imagine a tiny patio where every pot has a history. An old wheelbarrow painted sage, chipped teacups turned into succulents, and a vintage toolbox filled with trailing ivy. The scene is intimate. A foldable chair, a small table, and layered containers that give the space depth without stealing square footage. Each container becomes a conversation piece, a patchwork of colors and textures that invites touch. At dusk, candlelight and a soft breeze make this compact oasis feel larger than it is. The charm is in the juxtaposition. Functional containers reborn as sculptural planters, creating a curated, rustic tableau that feels lovingly sourced rather than store-bought. May all our subscribers and those who have liked our content be blessed with health and longevity. A vertical herb wall made from reclaimed wood and tin sings of utility and comfort. Envision morning rituals. Clipping fragrant basil and rosemary from eye-level pockets, sunlight filtering through a pergola, and the soft scrape of a wooden ladder used to tend the plants. The wall is a living tapestry, rosemary's spiky form, the soft leaves of parsley, and oregano spilling over edges. The reclaimed framework, seasoned by storms, lends authenticity and a lived-in narrative that store-bought planters can't replicate. It's a story of smart design. A small footprint, maximum yield, and the quiet satisfaction of eating from a garden you assembled from rescued parts. This is the kind of oasis that proves beauty doesn't need a big bank account. Salvaged boards become low-raised beds and rustic edging. Discarded shutters turn into trellises for climbing nasturtiums. The palette is muted, aged wood, soft greens, and pops of marigold. And the atmosphere is tranquil. In the storytelling moment, a resident carries a thrifted watering can, laughs with a neighbor over swapped seedlings, and pauses under a handmade shade sail to breathe in the scent of mint. It's a communal, resourceful approach where every reclaimed piece adds character, and every plant tells a story of renewal. A bench built from pallets is more than seating, it's a stage for garden life. Imagine a narrow garden bench doubling as a row of planters, its slats filled with trailing lobelia and thyme that spill toward the ground, softening the structure. Late afternoon finds someone curled up with a book, leaning against a cushion propped on pallet wood that's otherwise rough but warm from the sun. The bench's edges show nail holes and old stencils, marks of the pallet's former purpose, now woven into a domestic scene. This vignette celebrates ingenuity, comfort, storage, and planting, all married in one humble piece. There's a romance to buckets and tins, dense and patina that whisper of other lives. In a small garden corner, a mosaic of rusty tins and painted buckets hold lavender, sedum, and bright calendula. Their differing heights and textures create rhythm. A tall milk can anchors a corner, while a row of tins forms a cheerful border. Children might play nearby, chasing bees, while an older neighbor remembers using similar tins in days gone by. These containers tell family stories, and when arranged thoughtfully, they transform a small plot into an heirloom-style tableau brimming with nostalgia and bloom. Balconies are tiny theaters of possibility. Envision a narrow balcony reborn with hanging crates, a folding bistro table made from an old spool, and plants cascading from repurposed gutters. Evening lights and a patchwork rug create a tiny refuge above street sounds. The makeover is intimate, each element chosen for its story and fit. A curtain from a thrifted sheet for privacy, mismatched cushions for comfort, and plants chosen for fragrance and resilience. It's about creating ritual. Morning coffee among herbs, sunset reading with jasmine scenting the air. A rustic escape that's both urban and earthy. Light changes everything. This tale centers on a small plot lit by mason jars with tea lights, reclaimed bottles strung on wire, and a repurposed lantern hung from a salvaged beam. As night falls, the garden shifts from daytime textures to a soft, golden moodscape. Shadows from leaves dance across a reclaimed table, and the air cools as crickets start their chorus. The repurposed lights are modest but magical, found objects made ceremonial, turning brief nights into cozy evenings where conversations stretch longer and the garden feels like a private celebration. Water adds a hush. The soft trickle of a small fountain carved from an old metal basin, the gentle ripple catching evening light. In this vignette, a basin sits nestled among ferns and moss, its surface reflecting a sky framed by a reclaimed trellis. The sound draws birds and calms the human pulse, creating a micro-ecosystem that feels secret and lived in. The basin's aged metal and subtle patina tell of previous utility, now reimagined as a centerpiece that asks you to pause, listen, and savor the small, restorative pleasures a tiny water feature brings. Paths lead stories forward. Picture a mosaic walkway made from broken tiles and reclaimed stone. Irregular, colorful pieces that create a ribbon through the garden. Each shard holds memory. A once-loved plate, a salvaged brick, a stone from an old wall. Walking this path feels like moving through time. Toes brush with low herbs that edge the stones, and the scent of crushed rosemary rises. The path isn't perfect or polished, and that's its charm. It invites slow footsteps, quiet reflection, and a sense that beauty can be crafted from fragments. Every small garden needs a nook. Imagine a corner framed by an old shutter canopy, a pallet mattress piled with cushions, and a stack of crates functioning as a side table. Overhead, bunting made from fabric scraps flutters. The scene is a soft retreat where dog-eared novels are read under dappled light and tea grows cold. The recycled materials add warmth and texture, and the space feels personal, patched together like a favorite sweater. It's a storytelling space where afternoons slow and imagination takes root among the plants. In a small plot reworked from found objects, bees and butterflies find a stage. A vintage ladder becomes a vertical meadow, shelves stacked with pollinator-friendly blooms. Coneflowers, borage, and salvias. Hummingbird feeders hang from reclaimed hooks, while old pottery spills bright zinnias. The corner hums with life. A child watches a butterfly land and is instantly transfixed. This is a narrative of restoration, not just of objects but of ecosystems, showing how thoughtful upcycling can invite wildlife back into compact, human-centered spaces. Succulents are patient, elegant survivors, perfect for vertical displays. Envision picture frames repurposed into shallow pockets, each filled with textured sedums and echeveria, creating a living wall hung against a rustic fence. The arrangement reads like an art installation. Geometric frames, diverse shapes, and a range of muted greens. Sunlight sculpts the plant's rounded forms through the day, and the wall requires minimal fuss while offering maximum visual payoff. It's an understated, contemporary rustic piece that blends art, plant life, and thrifted charm. colanders, kettles, and teapots become whimsical hanging homes for plants. In a small garden, these suspended planters add vertical interest and playful personality. A row of colorful teapots holds trailing ivy. A vintage colander overflows with strawberry runners. The scene is lively. Children reaching up to touch dangling leaves, neighbors commenting on the ingenuity, and someone noting how the kitchenware shapes eco-domestic warmth. The story here is light and joyful. Everyday objects reclaimed to lift the garden both literally and emotionally. Not everyone wants daily upkeep, and that's okay. Picture a small, contained garden of hardy shrubs, grasses, and drought-tolerant perennials planted in large, weathered tubs. The palette is textural, feathery grasses, silver foliage, and sculptural succulents, arranged for long-lasting structure. Rainwater collects in rusted basins, mulch hides tired soil. This is a calming, hands-off narrative. A garden that offers seasonal interest with little fuss, inviting weekend relaxation, and the satisfaction of a space that thrives with minimal intervention. If you've ever felt like your space was too small, too cluttered, or too ordinary, remember, magic lives in the overlooked. Your garden isn't defined by size, it's shaped by soul. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your own upcycled garden idea in the comments. I'd love to see what you've turned into gold. And if you're inspired, hit that bell so you never miss a moment of this journey. Until next time, keep growing, keep dreaming, and keep finding beauty in the broken.